Most people are looking for how do I make a life worth living and retirement worth having. I talk about this regularly in my audio programs. I'm trying to encourage people to make life matter. When we're looking at how do I make life matter, we have to be bogged down with all the noise that's around us. The noise can be audio, it can be video, it can be all sorts of noise. It can be noise in our life, it can be noise from the Lord, it can be noise from the angelic realm, it can be noise from the Holy Spirit, it can be noise from people in our lives, and it can be noise all together. Noise is what people do. Noise is sometimes what prevents people from getting together. Noise in the mind says, I am not liable for anything. I am not responsible for my relationships. I am not going to go there again. I am not going to do this. And all these nots don't provide us one little thing in life. It really doesn't give us anything new to do in life either. When we lean away from someone, it doesn't mean we don't like them anymore. When we lean away, we have to take time for ourselves, time to clean up our own messes, time to deal with our own relationships that are still lingering, that shouldn't still be lingering. But I talk a lot about the fact that there are too many people who get involved in other people's relationships. If I put together a list of the women that I've loved in my life, I know that there's always been someone else who's interfered with those loving relationships that has caused them to go away. That causal of what they've done has not been appropriate. It's not been right in the house of the Lord, and it certainly hasn't been right in my heart, mind, and soul. It was hard to lose my first love interest in college. Absolutely devastating. She went home after us living together for so long, met a man and got married to him like in a matter of months or weeks. It was sort of weird and odd. Yet I saw her the other day online, and she seems to have multiple children by that man, and I guess she's living her life out loud, proud, and happy. Good for her. In another case, I literally made a connection with a liaison overseas, and I had that love interest for a very long time, much more than 10 years, more than most people can sustain a marriage. And openly, I loved that girl, and I still love that girl, and I still love my son, by whom I was responsible for. I have made one shift, though, in my life insurance policy. Since she's gone on to love another man in her third relationship for her life, and I am not the third and I am the second, I am no longer responsible for her in my life insurance policy. I've removed my son, too, because being able to do that for him is not the reason that I removed him, that if he does not want to have the relationship any longer, I can do nothing about that. But I wouldn't know because someone monstrously deleted my son's phone number from my cell phone. They've also stolen my cell phone, which makes it difficult for me to reach out and talk to anyone. In terms of my life insurance policy, I have left everything, all my worldly goods, any money that I might acquire through the work that I've done, and any sort of responsibility for me, frankly, with the small amount that it will take to put me in the earth, and the rest will remain for her, is to the woman that I love the most. And that's the truth, because I was moved in my soul. And I talked for a great length with the Lord about this process. He told me what to do. He told me who to put on that line. He told me the other woman that should be the secondary, which was a total shock and surprise because I loved her a lot, but she hurt me. And I wasn't really thrilled about that, but he said, no, they are liable for the love they've shared with you. Whether or not they want to love you still, whether or not they want to love you today, it doesn't matter. The reality is your love still lingers. Your love still remains in your heart, mind, and soul because you understand the Bible. The Bible in 1 Peter 1:22, I believe is the passage, says, love everyone deeply from the heart. So when I love, it's for life. When my soul gets to that point, when the conversations have gone there, when we've talked about literally everything from business to pleasure to sexuality to intimacy to parenting to finances to difficulties with other spouses to everything we possibly discussed during that wonderful couple-year period when we were sort of aligned with each other and texting each other on a regular basis, even through the point of it being a notice to, I guess, our significant others at the time, it didn't really matter. That love still remains. And openly, the Lord might have been planning for that love all this time because He knew what our spouses would do. The one thing I've learned through my journey of homelessness and this amazing way that the Lord speaks when you really start to listen, when you really start to see the signs of God, when you really start to understand the Lord's plan, is that He literally has planned for every single stitch of clothing, fabric, and hair on every single person's head, that He has said so in the Bible. There is no one in the planet Earth that can convince me otherwise at this point. The magic of the Lord is something that I have experienced now for many years, and I just can't get over the magic. I long to share that magic with the woman I love. I long to teach it to her children if she would allow, and I love that woman. Now, why do I love that woman? I love that woman for many reasons, and I will tell her in person if she ever comes back to allow me to do so. I have literally put forward a proposal of marriage and asked and requested for her hand in the invitation of marriage. She is long overdue to respond. It's not true that sometimes women take months, sometimes years to make a decision, but openly I have put my name in the hat of being a suitor. I have felt that suitor, that courtship for a long time, and I started to recognize it late in our relationship when she was leaving. And it was hard for me because as she stepped away, the more I recognized I loved her. The more that my gifts of business and nature started to be a little bit more playful, a little bit more loving, a little bit more silly, and in the end, a little bit more out loud and proud saying, I love you. But I know that throughout the entire relationship, I told her that I loved her. I know because I know how I had to word it at the time. I literally had to say, you are deeply loved. And that's how I had to put it. I couldn't say, I love you more than life itself. I couldn't say, I'm passionately in love with you. Sorry about the noise. I'm literally sitting outside a lovely little place that I like to go for breakfast and sometimes lunch and afternoon bagels. But the reality is there's a busy road nearby, so I hope you can hear me. The truth is that when a man is in love, he says it in the way that's appropriate at the time. And he continues to say it. I know that I communicated in every song I played in my accounts. The problem is some monster in social media land decided to delete every loving photograph that I took for her about the things I would have loved to have shared with her and her children at the time when they were still so young and small. Every restaurant I went to, every dish that I tried, every photograph of the sunsets I've been to, every aspect of animal life I've learned, I really wanted to share with her and her children. And openly, I would have done so proudly, I would have done so superbly, and frankly, the Lord did gift me something very important that she alone taught me. She alone taught me this gift. She doesn't maybe realize it, she doesn't necessarily remember it, but we were standing literally in my home at the time. I lived in a lovely townhouse in an affluent community where I had my business practice and my home. And I literally said something simple. She said, I want you to see what I purchased. I said, okay, great, bring it over. She came over within a short while after that promise, and I literally got what it was. And I literally asked only 2 questions. And I can't say what those questions were because those questions were private to me and her and to the Lord. But the truth is, the Lord has almost proven everything beyond that without a shadow of a doubt. I'm waiting for the last piece. And I've waited a long time to reach out and communicate. I only reach out and communicate when the Lord prompts me and when the shouting match inside my head is loud. Because on the one hand, I want to leave her with the space that she deserves, the freedom and independence that her mind needs, and the power and the control that she deserves to have in any relationship. On the other hand, I'm a man passionately in love, dying to tell her how much I love her, dying to tell her why I love her, dying to tell her how it came about that I love her, and openly letting the Lord show her what I'm capable of doing because she simply showed me a gift of soul, a gift of spirit she delivered to me, and the Lord has enhanced those because of my love of her. I know this for a shadow of a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. I probably said that wrong, but that's okay, I'm an imperfect soul. The truth is that I'm surprised sometimes at how much I still feel this. I literally cry a great deal over this girl. And every time I say to the Lord, okay, I'm letting go, I just break down. And I know that it's deep within my soul. The love that I feel is beyond control, and openly that is a pure thing that the Lord gives. I also know that when I was sending my business gifts, making sure there was enough for her and her children during a time of great difficulty in her life, that the Lord prompted me to do so. And I know that in those moments of time that I felt this overwhelming glow from Heavenly Father and Divine Mother in heaven of how I loved her. I literally would glow. My entire being would just feel warm fuzzy all over the place. And it was an amazing feeling. To know what unconditional love was like in those moments of time was incredible. But I am still, and remain ever so, a loyal person. I've not been out with anyone since my life partner passed, or moved on, if you will. And I have to say past because it's a past for me. I had to go through that grieving process, which was relatively quick because I know the prayers that I prayed that brought two women into my life. One was there with me a few short months, and she literally has done things that are not right, but the other came with this woman that I'm talking about now. I remember the prayer explicitly, and I remember when she came in, I knew that prayer was fulfilled. You see, in life we have moments of time to have profound prayer, and then we have moments of time to have simple prayer. A profound prayer is one that's literally put down on our knees in front of our prayer altars, communicating to the Lord what we're looking for in life and how we're not feeling and experiencing what we're looking for. The other aspect of prayer, of course, are those simple prayers that when we see someone who has a special need, or we see someone who's struggling, or we see someone who's having a difficult day, or we see someone who's walking, or we see someone who's really needing some sort of extra blessing because of the physical challenges that they might be feeling in terms of a hump in their back, or a physical ailment in walking, or the lack of a limb, that we simply stop and say, Lord, bless that individual, help them to feel better. Now, in life, we have those moments of time. I know for the one gal that I put her on my altar with my other family friends, and since that time, I started a new Twitter account. Unfortunately, the monsters of social media land has also deleted that account, and there's nothing literally I can do about that. The cyber hacking in my life has destroyed my life. The police barragement of my physical health has been out of control, and it's ruined my health. I am not well all the time is true, not mentally, it's physical that they have destroyed. They had no lawful right to have that information, they had no lawful right to get into my records, but someone allowed it, and that is the liars of the land. When we have physicians that do not understand federal law, that is out of control. When we have assistants and nurses and anyone who can literally access our medical files just because they work for a hospital, that is a problem in continuity of care that they try and tout as a great thing. It is not a great thing. It destroys our physical health, it destroys our privacy of information, and it destroys our right to decide who knows what about our physical, naked beings, and that is unlawful. In life, we have moments of time to talk about real issues, real things, real people. I love several girls, is true, because women are incredible. But the one that I love is the most amazing woman I've ever met in my life. I recently put her in a post with two other incredible women who are vying for the presidency. That's how high I hold in regard that woman. There is nothing you can say, there's nothing you can do that will change my love for that girl. It doesn't matter how much she rages, it doesn't matter how hot-headed she can be, it doesn't matter that she is fire to my ice, it doesn't really matter that she's the yin to my yang, it doesn't really matter whether the Lord is articulating through me now or whether I'm saying it all right and perfect. But what a man deserves always is the right to ask for a woman's hand in marriage, and to have no other person in the land interfere with a person's right to love, to be loved, to find a companion, to make a partnership lawfully and otherwise, and to be told anything at all by some other human being because they thought they have rights is out of control. If literally there's another liaison in her life that loves her more, I'd like to say prove it. In my little case, when I was so forlorn about the loss, the Lord literally let me slip away. I slipped through the veil, I slipped out of my body, and openly I'm like, wait, I haven't loved her yet. Don't take me now, but he knew the pain that I would experience. He knew what the men of this earth would try to do to me, and he knew the vileness of the men's souls in this community. He also knew that women play into it and play the game. I am not a game for someone to play upon, to put their hands in my pockets, to put their hands in my pants, as some sheriff have done to steal money out of a loin perch, and how dare they do that, but they did. All the videotape in the world will not be enough to prove it because they can lie and say they had rights to do certain things they did not. Openly, I'm telling the story so that people will get parts and bits and pieces and realize that we are in a new America. We are in America that has forgotten what federal laws are, has forgotten why we came here in the United States and why we created a country in the first place. It was to live out loud and proud in our religion and faith. It was to be free of tyranny and people who took away our rights. And openly, it was to live in a way that we could love who we needed to love. And in my lifetime, I know that the love I feel for that woman, whose name I will not reveal because she knows who she is, and no one else should because I've never mentioned that name to anyone other than my new friend Amelia, and openly one other person for which I regret. But beyond that, no one else had the right to know that name. Any other man or woman who knows that name or has provided their own right to look at my legal documentation of my life insurance policy on which her name is listed along with her children had no lawful right to do so. Only my insurance agent should have known that information. So when we're talking about rights, we have to talk about the right of a man to have privacy of his records, privacy of his health care, and privacy of his own being. We also have to look at the horrible people in the religious realm that think they have rights to just lie just enough so the next person can lie just enough, and the next person can lie to themselves just enough about their right to do something ill-willed to an individual that they don't have any lawful right to know about the medical health about. But I'll just leave it at that. It's not really my place to normally share information, but here's what I know. Birth defects come in all shapes and sizes, and mine was no one's right to know about, period. I have a birth family I will never see again because of their lies in my life, their theft of my property, and their allowance and tolerance of the hatred that I've experienced through hate crime and other cybercrime in my life. But openly, a man does not go on alone in the world. He looks for a life partner. Everyone deserves one. No matter what your persuasion, no matter what your faith, no matter who you love, no matter how you love, as long as it's done in full force of the Lord's blessing, that's how we do things today. At least that's how I conduct my life. As for your life, I can't tell you what your life is like. I can only say how I feel, that I love that woman with all my heart, mind, and soul. And if she'll have me, I would try my best to make her happy all the days of her remaining life. That's my promise in a marriage proposal. And I've never really given that proposal more than one time before. And that relationship lasted a doubling of the time that I usually discuss that it has. And openly, it's no one's business to know how long I've loved someone. But all my relationships in life are long-term. With my students, I had most of them for 4 to 6 years. I still have loving relationships with them. They still reach out to me through LinkedIn, and I know how to produce long-term relationships. Long-term relationships are the ones that say, you need something, you come to me. I will be there for you no matter what. All my students know they can always expect a letter of recommendation. They can always expect a meal if I have it. They can always expect a hug if they need it. And they openly know that I'm that man all the time. Every young man who's been in my program has literally wanted to hug me when they left. I don't usually hug the girls because that would be inappropriate, but they all do remain, and they bring me a loving gift. My last student gave me some of the most beautiful gifts I'd ever received as a teacher, as we closed up the program so I could have some time off. In life, we have moments of time to tell someone that we love them. I'm going to keep shouting out loud and proud, I love you, little girl. And that name is something you know that the Lord has put upon your soul. I love you. Don't ever think I don't love you. I will protect you and those boys, those children of yours, until the day that I die. And then some, because your name is in my life insurance policy. Thanks for listening.